integrated risk management plan, annual statement of assurance and financial plans. Due to the way the service plan is currently structured, it is difficult to create a clear differentiation between the IRMP, the medium-term financial plan and the service plan, thus not enabling the document to be used to maximum effect. The proposal moving forward is to ensure the authority are able to demonstrate compliance with the Fire and Rescue National Framework. The recommendation is that the IRMP and the medium-term financial plan are extracted from the service plan. This will enable both documents to be public-facing, whilst also allowing the service plan to be utilised as an internal document, which will be a delivery mechanism for the service objectives that will be RMP, the medium-term financial plan and service strategies. That covers the proposal around strategic planning, Chair. Happy to take any questions on the first part of the paper.
Okay, members, questions? Well, we're happy with what we've just heard. Very, very precise and thorough. There doesn't appear to be any questions, Simon, so perhaps you'd like to move on.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'll move us through onto performance management and the proposal attached to that. So again, if I may, Chair, just a bit of background into our current performance management methodology. So in 2015, the Fire Authority agreed its strategic objectives and a number of service delivery targets as part of a 5-year plan. Performance against these targets was reported and managed through the service management team on a monthly basis. In 2019-2020, Fire Authority again agreed a 12-month extension in relation to the IRMP, and this incorporated the targets that were agreed at Strategy and Resources Committee in March 2020. If I may, Chair, I'll just give you an idea of what those targets look like. So that includes accidental primary fires, where we have a target of no more than 433, accidental dwelling fires, no more than 186, deliberate fires, no more than 520, fire-related deaths and serious injuries, no more than 10, fires confined to room of origin on 89.5% of occasions, the response standard on 89% of occasions, and injuries sustained to staff through operational activity, no more than 19. So that the reason I provide that information, Chair, is to give you an indication of the targets that we currently work to and the measures or the targets that we've got in place for up until the end of March 2021. Of note as well, it was agreed that the service would separate recording of fire-related deaths and serious injuries to enable more meaningful analysis and also to present a clear picture in terms of severity. The current measures, again, are reported to authority through the Standards Audit and Performance Committee on a quarterly basis and are agreed through delegations to the Strategy and Resources Committee. The proposal moving forward is that the internal performance management against the agreed performance measures is again conducted through the service management team. Work is currently underway to review the service management team meeting structure, with a recommendation to separate the policy part of the meeting from the performance monitoring elements. This will create 2 meetings, with one focusing solely on policy and decisions, and the other focusing on applying scrutiny to performance and risk. To assist with performance monitoring, work has started to create an efficient and effective performance management dashboard that will incorporate performance metrics. This work will seek to incorporate data from that supplied to Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services, National Fire Chiefs Council and also Home Office. The current service targets are factored around a numerical measure with no tolerance against each of the indicators, and the approach tends to lead to focusing on a specific target as opposed to the direction of travel, trends and future forecasting of performance. And the examples I'd just like to bring to your attention there are accidental primary fires. We work to no more than 433, and the response standard works on a percentage of 89%. The proposal that the current approach is amended to enable performance monitoring of the direction of travel and ensure that this is in line with the performance target through applying a tolerance as opposed to a numerical target. Approval is requested for the service to continue to explore an alternative set of performance measures that will report to the proposed performance and risk group and subsequently into Standards Audit and Performance Committee. It is also recommended that the authority agree future performance targets are delegated to Strategy and Resources Committee as per current delegations and practice. That is the background and proposal around performance management as well, Chair. Again, happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Simon. Any questions or comments, members, before we ask for a proposal and a seconder? Here's Kevin.
Thank you, Chair. Simon, when you talk about tolerance, are you sort of saying that, like accidental primary deaths, would you have two figures? Would they be so basic as like 420 to 440?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Yeah, so to give you an indication of some of the work that's currently underway with the team, the tolerance would be built around a target figure. So if we would say 420, we may have a plus or minus 2% or 5% based on what the target is. What we aim to do then is almost create a red, amber, green rating. So obviously, if we're looking to drive incidents down, anything above will be green, will be in the amber when we're within the tolerance, and when it's red, we can see where we're dipping below. The whole ethos around it, Councillor, is to enable us to monitor the trend line as opposed to just a numerical figure, so we can see what it's doing within that tolerance band. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Rod, you indicated.
Thanks, Chair. I think what's sitting behind this is a desire to move away from the 5% year-on-year reduction, which worked fantastically for us, but it's unsustainable, and it was taken to us to a point where we were getting diminishing returns for the amount of effort we were putting into it, and the service was in a position of performing strongly but failing, which we've had reported in the Shropshire Star several times. So we've actually had strong performance, reducing risk, but not hit the target and then be seen as failing. So that 5% that we went for, you'll recall at the last IRMP, and actually it was a 5% that we picked from the previous one. So we've been going for nearly 10 years now with the 5% per year reduction. I don't think that's possible to go at that pace any further, because, as I say, you're getting into diminishing returns. Therefore, the proposal is built around identifying what the gradient or what the direction of travel is, and insisting that it gets no worse. So it's an improvement curve as opposed to a direct numerical hit the target, don't hit the target. I think that the tolerances will allow us to report more by exception. So you'll know if it's in the amber, then our strategies are working okay. If it goes into the red, that's the time to change your strategy. And that's the time to have a really close look at, because what you're doing isn't working if it starts moving into the red zone. If it's in the green zone, there might even be something that we're over egging, but of course green's always preferable, but it might be the green zone. We just say, okay, that's improving at such a level, we'll focus on something else, and we won't put all our focus onto that. We won't stop doing it because it's good, but it allows us to see that red. But rather than hitting numbers and everyone relaxing when they hit the number, it means this continuous improvement. So you're constantly looking for that curve of improvement. So that's what sits behind it. I think we're going to make it more transparent. I like the idea of stripping it out of SMT it is at the moment, because it gives us more time to focus on performance. And when I came here, one of the things I really was impressed with, all those years ago, it feels like now, but I was impressed with how much time service management teams spent on looking at performance. As the years have gone on, we're dealing with so much more policy and so much more change. Then we're sort of skimping our time that we're spending looking at what's really important, which is how well we're doing. So we'll split that, and then we think if we lift that lock, stock and barrel into SAP, then it gives the members a chance to drill into the detail where it's required and to really hold us to account. So that's the sort of strategy that sits behind everything Simon said.
Thanks for that, Rod. At least we have the awareness there, and we're aware of what we need to be doing looking at the future. So I'm happy that we are dealing with it in that way. And any other comments before I ask for the proposal and the second, members? Don't see any. I'm happy to propose acceptance of that. We have a seconder. Chris Mellings is seconding. And then I'll hand over to Lynn once more, if I may. to approve item 12?
Thank you, Chair. So another roll call vote. Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Blundell.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Carter proposed. Councillor Hartin.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Lavery.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Mellings seconded. Councillor Minery.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Pardy.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Price.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Wynne.
For.
Thank you. That's agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much. 2 more items to go. Members, we've got item 13 coming up next, and I'll hand it back to Joanne, if I may.
Thank you, Chair. It's a very brief paper to uplift our current tariff for special service charges by 2% in line with Firefighter Pay Award for 21-22. Any questions, I'm happy to take. Thanks, Chair.
Any questions, members? Otherwise, we'll have a proposer and a seconder once again, if we may. Keith Roberts is proposing, and it looks like Nigel's seconding. No other comments? Well, we'll go for the roll call again then, Lynn, please.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Adams.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Blundell. For. Thank you. Councillor Carter.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Harton seconded. Councillor Lavery.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Mellings.
Muted.
Councillor Min. Can't hear you.
Sorry.
Councillor Minery, sorry.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Pardy.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Price.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts proposed. Councillor Thompson.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Wynne.
For.
Thank you. That's agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, we'll move on to the final item because 15 has been taken off and 16 we've already covered. So item 14, I'm handing over to Jermaine, if I may. Jermaine.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can you see me? Because I'm conscious I can't see a lot of people on the screen.
Yes, we can see you now there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this report sets out the proposed amendments to the pay policy statement for consideration by the full Fire Authority. As you're all aware, the senior officer pay policy is reviewed annually following the initial pay policy statement that was agreed back in 2012. This report details the proposals emanating from an annual review in 2020. So as part of the work undertaken to update the pay policy statement this year, officers have identified that the brigade manager pay, including the pay differentials, has not been fully reviewed since 2016. And given that the pay and remuneration has not been reviewed during this time, it's proposed that the Fire Authority task the Brigade Manager's Employment Panel with undertaking a review and reporting this back to the Fire Authority. Turning to the appendix at the back of the report, there have been some minimal changes to the report. So on page 4, the job titles for the Treasurer and the Monitoring Officer have been updated and highlighted in bold, and the previous job titles have been struck through. Then on page 5 of the report, this has been amended to reflect the latest date that the Fire Authority determined the new minimum differentials for brigade managers in Shropshire. Broadly, the rest of the report remains the same, apart from a couple of changes on page 7 and 8, where the latest figures have been amended to show the operational lowest rate of pay is now 23,833, and the non-operational lowest rate of pay is 20,092. The rest of the pay details for senior officers have been updated to reflect the National Pay Awards, and they are detailed in the table at the back of the report. So, pending the approval by the Fire Authority, the amended statement will be published by the 31st of March this year and continue to be reviewed annually following any further notifications of national pay decisions. So the Fire Authority are asked to note the report, agree the proposed amendments to the pay policy statement, task the BMEP with the undertaking of a review against brigade managers' pay, and then report those outcomes of that review back to the Fire Authority. I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jermaine. The details are all there, members, for you to see at the back of the paper and the heart of the paper. Something that we should take note of. Do you have any take this spectrum recommendations forward with a proposal and a seconder? James Slavery.
Yes, just a minor point. On the pension contributions made by the employer, there are two categories where they get 28.8%, where the others get 37.3%. Is there a reason for that?
I might have to defer to Joe on that point if I can, because the details are provided through finance. Joe, are you able to answer that, please?
Yes, if I can, Chair. The differentials there between the contribution rates are because there are currently three schemes for firefighters, and they all attract different contribution rates. So the highest one would be the 1992 scheme, and the newer schemes would be the lower contribution rates.
This is one of the things we have in the fire service, where we've got 3 different levels of pension laws and regulations, so it does cause some confusion. So thanks for that clarity, Joe. Are you happy with that response, James?
Yeah, yes, in principle, but I would have thought it would have been more favourable for everybody to get the same sort of proportion.
It would. It's just difficult over the years. There's been changes to the pension schemes and regulations, which has meant that we have this sort of thing happening. So any other questions or any other comments? If not, I'll ask for a proposal and a seconder for this item, this final item.
I'll propose, Chair. David Minery.
That's David Minery proposing. Seconding, John Thompson, I see, indicating. So we'll go for the final time for this paper for Lynn to ask the vote call. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just before I do, I've noticed that the Chief's got his hand up. I wasn't sure.
I'm sorry, just seen it now. Yeah. Sorry, Rod.
Sorry, Chair. Second legacy hand of the day. My apologies.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, right. Well, we'll conduct the vote, Lynn.
We'll do the vote then now. So, Councillor Adams.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Blundell. 4. Thank you. Councillor Carter.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Hartin.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Lavery.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Mellings.